Hey, just wanted to get some thoughts down. Now that I finally got this thing up and running, I wanted to start a video blog. It's been about a year. In February, it will be a year that I started online college classes. And um, I will say that I am doing better than I thought I would, not as good as I was hoping I would be doing. I've got about a C average as of right now. Um, Hope I can pick that up in the coming year. It is a 4-year course, going for psych for any interested. But this week is the first week of a new class, which is why I had to get the webcam. I don't know what we're going to be doing with it. Haven't had any instructions laid out or any guidelines as to what we're going to be doing with it, whether or not we're going to be doing face-to-face with the professor or other classmates. I don't know. Haven't had any guidelines, as I said. But it's another computer accessory that I guess is good to have. Now I can Skype with friends as well. So just one more thing. But one more thing I wanted to let people know. Another thing that's been on my mind last couple days, and I'm going to finally address it. A good friend of mine passed away this week. I haven't really addressed it a lot. I've addressed it with a few close members of my family, my mother and my sister. Austin knows. Those of you that saw the picture of me with the young lady, that was my profile picture for a while. She passed away early last week. Early this week, rather, sorry. She was only 32. Had known her for about 10 years. That picture was from a Christmas party that when I was working at the Marriott that I took her to as my date. Her and I were pretty good together. We were very similar in taste as far as sports, movies, music, both like classic rock. Neither one of us really liked girly movies. We both like action comedies, buddy comedies. I think the first time I took her to a movie, we saw Superbad, which shows that we both like slapstick kind of buddy humor. Stupid humor. But she moved back to Chicago a while back, and then, you know, she had lived here for a long time, and moved back to Chicago about 6 months ago, and then started getting sick. Every last few times I talked to her, she talked about how sick she was. She couldn't eat, couldn't keep anything down. Constant vomiting, constantly losing weight. Every other time I talked to her was she'd lost this much weight, she'd lost that much weight. And if you saw the picture, you can see she was pretty thin and not very tall. So if she was losing the amount of weight that she kept telling me she was losing, you can see that she didn't really have a lot to lose. Now, unless she had gained a lot of weight, I don't know what weight she was losing, and I had not seen her in person since she left here, back when she did, before we moved out of the apartment when we were living over in Callaway. Now, if she had gained a lot of weight and then and that's what she was losing, I don't know, because like I had not seen her any recent pictures of her. She never liked having her picture made. That picture we had made at the Christmas party, she didn't really want to have made. But I wanted a picture of her and I together then, because she never did like having her picture made. Every time I tried to take her picture, she would put her hand in front of her face. But her mother called me, might have been Sunday, texted me rather, didn't call me. She texted me and told me to call her as soon as I could. So and anybody that knows me well enough, knows that I have a standing rule that you do not text me that early in the morning. Do not call me that early in the morning, unless it's a dire emergency. But that one seemed pretty urgent, and from the last few conversations I had with Julia, I figured coming from the number, from Julia's number, and it said call me as soon as you can, that something had to be going wrong. So I called, her mother picked up and told me that she was in the hospital, her body was shutting down, everything, all her functions, everything was starting to go. And she had already, like I said, been telling me about all the weight she had been losing and inability to keep food down, all the constant vomiting. So whatever it was that she had picked up that had been keeping her sick was really doing its job on her. And Monday at about 2:30 in the afternoon she passed away. Now, Julia and I, we had our fair share of times when we did not get along, like anybody, any friends, especially any friends that were exes. And that was the second time she had moved back to Chicago. She moved back a few years ago for a little while, and then asked me to come get her. And a friend of mine and me drove up there to get her in my truck that I had at the time. I had a little Mazda truck with an extended cab, and we drove up there to see her and bring her back. And the extended cab did not have seats in the extended cab, so 3 people and her dog. She had a big goofy dog that was extremely playful and extremely lanky and of an unknown breed. We didn't really know what it was because she found him on the side of the road with some kids abusing it, so she took it from the kids to keep them from abusing him. And she raised him and kept him until he passed away. So, but anyway, on the way back, on the trip back, her and I in between the driving shifts, you know, the three of us shared the driving, but when one of us wasn't driving, either her or I would sit in the extended cab portion of the truck with the dog laying on top of us, sitting on us, wrestling with us, and you would not believe how uncomfortable it is sitting on the floor of an extended cab. Now, I had gotten to talk to her sister Tuesday, and ask her about a box that I had mailed Julia early this month for Christmas. Some stuff I was sending her for Christmas, a couple books, a love letter that I had written to Julia when she moved to Chicago the first time back, you know, back then, back around 2006, 2007. But I never mailed that letter because it was really, really sappy and gooey. And but I never mailed it. I did, however, one of the last, or not the last, but a few months ago, I was talking to her on the phone. I was cleaning some stuff out of the closet, and I found it, and I read it to her on the phone, and we both just cracked up about it. But that was one of the things that we always thought was funny, because she had a really sarcastic tone about herself, much like myself. But she was not really one of those, she was not really and I hate air quotes, but she was not one of the girly girl types. And that letter, had I mailed it at the time, she would have probably shown it to everybody she knew just to get a good laugh out of it, because it was so sappy and gooey. But I read it to her over the phone, and we had a good laugh about it. Also, that picture that you saw as my profile picture, I mailed her one of those because I had 2 copies, so I mailed her that. The book The Outsiders, that she talked about how she liked the movie, I just happen to have a copy of that I believe my sister might have checked out, of the Rutherford High Library, and never returned. I was cleaning some stuff out of the closet to make room for the multitudes of t-shirts that I have, and other things, and I found that book, and I mailed that to her. And I was talking to her sister, and I asked her if when they go to, you know, because everybody puts stuff in, you know, puts pictures and things in the coffin of the deceased, I asked her if she could at least put that picture of herself and me in that coffin with her, and if they can find the box. And she said yeah, and she called me and told me that they found the box, and they found the book and the picture and the letter. And I told her that, you know, she could put, you know, she said she would send me back the book if I wanted, and I told her it wasn't necessary. And I said, in fact, she could put that in there too if she wanted, and the letter, because, you know, of course, at the time when I didn't mail it, it was just because, like I said, it was so sappy and gooey, and something that a teenager would write, not something that at the time a 30-ish year old guy would write. It was more something like a teenager would write. But so she put the picture in the book, in the coffin with Julia. She sent me a picture from the funeral of the coffin, open and closed. and I saw the picture in the book and the letter, and I really didn't know what to do. Really didn't know how to process it. I've dealt with death before, but I've never really dealt with it on this scale. I've had family members die. My father comes from a large family, as is my mother. My mother's mother just passed away recently. She was in her 80s. I've had several family members on my father's side pass. My dad being the youngest, third youngest from 11. Most of those were when I was a lot younger, and you don't really have a lot of emotions towards death, or a lot of you don't have a lot of feeling about death when you're a kid, and you go to these funerals and you know that these people are related to you, but you really don't know how to feel because you didn't really know them that well. The only one that really stood out, my grandmother died. She died, I think, in '86, so that would have made me about 12. Depending on the month, I would have been either 12 or had just turned 12, or coming up on 12, I don't know. But when you're a kid, you don't know how to deal with it. Again, like I said, your emotions don't really come to the surface. But when you're 40 years old and somebody that you've known for a decade passes away, and it just hits so suddenly, especially when you didn't know that they were as sick as they were, because I had just talked to her maybe 2 or 3 days before, and she didn't say anything about how sick she was. Everything she talked about being sick, but whether or not she was just telling me what she thought I wanted to hear, or was bending it to what she wanted herself to believe, I don't know. But this one really kind of has shaken me a little bit. But anyway, I hope everybody has a nice evening, and I'm going to start either weekly or semi-weekly, depending on how I feel, what's going on at the time, video blog, and I will put it on YouTube if anybody's interested to see. And just keep an eye out if you want to watch, if you want to listen to if you want to listen to me ramble for a few minutes, you're more than welcome. But anyway, don't take anything for granted. It's the one thing that I want everybody to take away from this, if there is anything. If you can take anything away from this, that's it. I know most of this was just seems like me rambling, and it was. But again, don't take anything for granted. Julia was going to come in January to come back to visit her and her mother. Her stepfather still lives here, and they were going to come back to visit him and then go to Disney World. And I took for granted that I would get to see her again in January, and now I'm not. And I took for granted that I would get to see her in January. So, that opportunity is now gone. So, always be thankful for what's around you and what you've got. Make sure the people that you care about know that you care about them. Your parents, your kids. Tell everybody you love them. You love them. And make sure that they know you love them. Have a nice night. Take care.